Hey guys, a lot of strange and interesting things happen in our world. Today, let's take a look at some of these incidents that were captured on video. By the way, if you haven't seen the first part, I recommend checking it out using the hint or the links in the description. Let's go! The fiery spring is not a fairy tale. It actually exists in one of China's provinces. At first glance, it's just a spring, but if you hold an open flame near the water, it will burst into flames. The reason is that deep underground there is natural combustible gas, and at this exact spot, it seeps out through cracks where it meets the spring water. However, the gas does not lose its properties upon contact with the liquid, so the result is the illusion of a burning spring and a balance between the two elements. A chimney can also leave a chemtrail. The process of water vapor condensation draws a straight line in the air, made up of tiny water droplets. The wind turned this Indian waterfall into a barrier that blocked the road and frightened all the drivers. This isn't the apocalypse. It's San Francisco on September 9th, 2020.
Subscribe to our podcast, visit kqed.org/forum. And for the latest update, Jeff Zillow, but we're going to continue. Jeff Tucker.
More than 2 million acres of land not far from the city were burned by wildfires. The rising smoke scattered the blue light, so only warm colors reached the ground. The city's residents spent the entire day without sunlight under a bright orange sky.
Sky has turned red.
Don't you think this moss looks kind of strange?
А ведь это не мох.
These arachnids are called ipalides. They are known for having legs that are very long compared to their body size. They cannot spin webs because they lack the necessary glands. Ipalides often gather together for safety. This makes them look like something soft rather than hundreds of spiders.
Wow. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Holy, that is a giant shooting star.
The guy doesn't even realize how wrong he is. On March 25th, 2021, many residents of Oregon actually thought they were seeing shooting stars. In reality, a Falcon 9 rocket had entered the atmosphere at that time. As a result, a month after the launch, debris from the rocket began falling to Earth, leading everyone to believe they were witnessing a meteor shower.
Lee, Mom, Dad. Mom, Dad.
¿Quién sabe qué está pasando en el río Rima?
Since 2019, a law has been in effect in Egypt that prohibits climbing the pyramids at Giza. Violators face fines, deportation, or being barred from entering the country. But these rules apply only to people. A beach that is best visited at night. Only in the summer and early fall can you witness a rare phenomenon bioluminescence on the beach of Pingtan Island in China. The blue glow is caused by microorganisms that live in the sea. When stimulated by external factors, they emit a flash of light. And because there are literally millions of these microorganisms in the water, the light becomes very bright.
That's some scary Get here.
This real-life miracle was captured on camera by residents of China. Not everyone is lucky enough to see something like this, even once. The sun must be shining at an angle of 58 degrees or higher. There must be cirrus clouds containing ice crystals in the sky, and the sunlight must penetrate them at a specific angle. Only when all these conditions are met can you witness such beauty. At first glance, you wouldn't even realize there's snow here. That's because the wind has hidden the white snow under a thick layer of sand. Some herons are sedentary, while others may migrate annually from Siberia to Africa and back.
Here's the tip, find umbrella. It's gotta be an specialized.
A group of people went on vacation to the Bahamas, but suddenly found themselves witnessing the launch of a SpaceX. The largest and most beautiful clouds are called mammatus clouds, or udder-shaped clouds. They get their name from their unusual shape, which resembles an udder. These clouds form when descending cold air currents encounter warmer layers of the troposphere as a result of the collision between air masses of different densities and temperatures. Bulges form at the lower edge of the clouds. Mammatus clouds are always a sign of an approaching thunderstorm or storm, so it's best to watch them from inside your home. The herd instinct can sometimes lead to this, but it is only one of the explanations for why sheep start walking in circles. Sometimes, prolonged confinement in a pen or even a random infection can play a role, leading to neurological disorders. But most often, it is simply the desire to imitate their fellow sheep. These images are a sure sign that an earthquake occurred here. After all, it is during earthquakes that soil liquefaction most often occurs. The soil loses its properties and can no longer retain water, at which point it begins to behave like a liquid. Soil saturation leads to certain consequences when a large amount of water rises to the surface. Birds take a risk every time they decide to perch on power lines. These images from Mexico clearly show why. An overloaded power line caused a flock of thrushes to simply plummet to the ground. The sight was so shocking that people called experts and the police to the scene. A living statue in nature. Two humans. This is something strange and incomprehensible. But for ants, it's simply a way to survive. They build their nests underground, so when floods occur, they're forced to come to the surface. At that point, the ants gather the entire colony and build a living raft on the water. This way, they can spend several weeks there and wait for the water level to drop. Farmers on the Canary Islands created this landscape. They built crescent-shaped stone walls to protect the plants from strong winds, and the volcanic ash on the surface helps retain moisture. This area was once considered unsuitable for agriculture, but now grapes are grown here that produce excellent wine.
Ford said they had to be done to assure accuracy.
A terrifying nightmare for anyone who is afraid of insects. In the spring of 2016, several regions of Madagascar were overrun by locusts. There were so many of them that, once they hatched, they swarmed everywhere. Local authorities had to launch a large-scale pest control campaign to at least slightly reduce the locust population. Some people think that rain in the desert is a good thing, but when torrential rains last for more than 2 weeks, the desert turns into this. Tropical downpours caused flooding near a mountain range in Libya. The water rushed downhill, carrying sand and small rocks with it, which made the situation even more dangerous. This fish is crossing the road in Mason County, USA. People are already used to this. It just so happens that this road runs between rivers where salmon live. The fish regularly migrate from one body of water to another and have already figured out that during floods, they can do this simply by swimming across the road. Now that's real black gold. A group of men in Algeria was searching for water in the middle of the desert, but they found something even better. Suddenly, instead of water, oil began gushing out. Unfortunately, people weren't thrilled about this discovery. Algeria ranks 16th in the world in terms of oil reserves. But water is scarce here, so water would have been much more useful.
التويو تاع الاسبيراسيون حوالي 21 متر. الارتفاع ما بين البركة والكاميون.
At first glance, it looks creepy, as if these strange worms are performing a ritual. But there's an explanation for everything, and these images show mosquito larvae.
It's like a necklace or something, like a shiny necklace.
That's disgusting.
This is what the beach on the island of Menorca looked like when hundreds of thousands of jellyfish washed ashore. Fortunately, they are completely safe for people, but no one dared to go into the water anyway. To avoid wasting time going around obstacles, the ants came up with a simpler solution. An ant reaches the edge of a surface and clings tightly to it, hanging over the abyss. The next ant clings to the first, and so on in a chain until they reach another surface. Have you ever heard of rain made of fish? It's actually a real phenomenon that happens several times a year. This happens regularly in genders. Scientists explain that it may be caused by strong winds or a tornado that washes fish ashore. It is also believed that fish may travel through the water in caves and are then simply washed out by heavy rains. Remember, when fish start jumping out of the water, it's not a good sign. Residents of Yunnan province in China speculated that this was a precursor to an earthquake or an underwater electrical leak. However, this behavior was actually caused by high levels of chemical waste in the lake. The fish couldn't breathe and had to jump out in search of oxygen. There are only 800 mud volcanoes on our planet. Their formation requires specific geological conditions, and Malaysia has them. Only the subsidence of the Earth's crust, groundwater, and the presence of oil and gas in the soil lead to the formation of such unique sites. This eruption was the third in the volcano's history, and some tourists were lucky enough to witness it with their own eyes. It turns out that a reindeer round dance isn't just a dance. This is how animals behave when they're anxious. It helps them calm down, and they don't stop walking until the herd leader signals them to stop. This kind of circling can also protect weaker individuals. They'll simply be guided to the center of the circle where they'll be safe from predators. It's best not to get too close to a mud volcano like this. These eruptions occur only a few times a year, but they never fail to amaze the people of Taiwan, especially when a fire is nearby and flammable gases add flames to the bubbling mud. The strangest thing you can find on a runway is in Florida. It's an alligator. Locals say this is far from uncommon here, and on April 22nd, 2024, security personnel caught a 3-meter-long alligator. Emperor penguins live exclusively in Antarctica. So when an Australian family spotted one on a local beach, they were shocked.
Oh, she? Wow. Are you a little lost? Yeah. Hello. Yeah, you're lost.
The penguin had to travel 2,100 miles to reach this spot. According to scientists, of all the emperor penguins, this one currently holds the record for the longest journey,
We found at the beach today, kids. He is almost as big as you guys. Wow. Or she.
Welcome to the Wild West, where tumbleweed doesn't just grow in the desert, it takes over everything around it. Essentially, this plant is just a common weed, and every year it spreads further and further. It grows in such large quantities that it once disrupted life in a small California town by blocking nearly all the roads.
Hello there, two stewards in high jackets. If you can come on shop please, or take your high jackets on out of the way please, I'd very appreciate it. The two stewards with the high jackets on, please move out for the shop, thank you.
This isn't just a natural fountain, it's a source of vitamins. The footage was shot in Azerbaijan, near a mineral spring. The water emerges at the surface, already warm, at a high temperature. And although you can't see it, this water contains magnesium, iron, phosphorus, iodine, zinc, and other beneficial minerals. These are goose mussels. These crustaceans live in coastal areas all over the world. They need salt water and regular tides to survive. They lead a sedentary lifestyle and, for this reason, seek out solid, level surfaces. Their home can be an ordinary driftwood log or pipe, the bottom of a ship, or even the shell of a marine animal. It was the goose barnacles that led to the ship being coated with an anti-fouling coating.
There goes a hippo out of water.
For turtles, frozen rivers aren't really a problem. Some of them can spend the entire winter under the ice. Turtles have an excellent ability to slow down their metabolism. The colder it is outside, the less energy and oxygen they need. During this time, turtles rely solely on their stored energy and the oxygen already present in the water. This helps them survive even without using their lungs.
I got that one.
The residents of the house heard a noise coming from the roof and decided to check it out. They certainly didn't expect to see dozens of bats among the roof tiles. It turned out that a small colony was living there, building nests in small crevices in the tiles. A little longer, and they would have driven out the house's actual owners. When the sun is low in the sky and its light passes through rain clouds, the rays are refracted and scattered in such a way that the sky turns green. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. See you in future episodes. Bye!